So you fought the secret boss in Deltarune Chapter 5. You're left wondering, what was that? Maybe you recognize her from Undertale, but you didn't know she was a girl? Or maybe you're familiar with her whole story, but can't imagine why she would be in Asgore's Dark World. Maybe you just don't think she makes a very good secret boss, and still have no idea who that shopkeeper was supposed to be. The good news is, I have the answers to all of these questions. Chapter 5 Secret Boss has been my favorite character for years. This meant I went into the chapter with a lot of context I'm starting to realize not everybody had. If you haven't yet played Deltarune Chapter 5, now is the time to click off the video. It will contain spoilers for General Chapter 5 as well as the Secret Boss. This is some of my favorite gameplay that has ever come out of Deltarune, so please go play the game. I would hate to ruin it for you. One last thing before I begin. Chapter 5 Secret Boss has a lot of different names you might know her by. For the sake of clarity, I will be referring to her as Maddie throughout the video, which is a fan-given nickname for some of her names. I will also clarify the name she is known by depending on which appearance of hers I'm talking about. I will also be exclusively using she/her pronouns for Maddie in this video. This isn't really a problem anymore, but once upon a time, a lot of people didn't know her correct pronouns and would use them interchangeably with ones that are representative of her pre-transition. I'll provide citations of her pronoun usage when they first come up, just in case. In the waterfall section of Undertale, when being chased by Undyne, you fall into Waterfall's garbage dump. While exiting the area, there is a training dummy figurine, reminiscent of one you see in the ruins. It is possessed by a ghost who uses the dummy to block your way and attack you. Maddie, known here as Mad Dummy, is the cousin of Mettaton and Absolute, as well as the mysterious and debatably existent Ruins Ghost. She defends the honor of the Ruins Ghost and also gives insight on how the ghosts in Undertale function. In the genocide route, Maddie experiences so much rage at the bullshit you've been up to that she fuses with her body, becoming no longer an undamageable ghost haunting a body, but one with the body, achieving corporeality. A fun fact is that the same ghost body fusion mechanic is likely why you can't damage Mettaton in his box form but can in his homosexual form. The implication is that he fuses with his own body when you flip a switch. She notably has a speech quirk of repeating words 3 times, with each repetition getting progressively louder. This will come up again a lot. If you get the mystery key that unlocks Mettaton's house, one of his diary entries describes that Mettaton and Absolute's cousin, quote, left the farm to become a training dummy. Upon defeating Maddie as the Mad Dummy, she can be found outside Undyne's house, being Undyne's training dummy. On September 14th, 2018, Toby Fox released the full-length trailer for the Switch port of Undertale. In the trailer, it is teased that there would be almost no Mew content. The trailer features several animated cutscenes of a pink cat girl reminiscent of the portrait of Mew Mew Kissy Cutie featured in Alphys's lab. In all console ports of Undertale, there is a new room under Sans and Papyrus's sake, referred to as the Dog Shrine. On the Switch port of Undertale, after you fight Mettaton EX, you can use your Joy-Cons to open another room beyond the Dog Shrine. Inside, you will find a life-sized doll of Mew Mew Kissy Cutie. It is possessed by Maddie, known now as Mad Mew Mew, and was stolen by Maddie from Alphys's lab. Maddie will battle you in an attempt to fuse herself to her body. Although she gets increasingly more frustrated during the course of the fight, she never does end up fusing with the body, prompting the player to either suggest other ways to fuse it and spare her, in which she decides to set off to find another way, or you destroy it. As Mad Mew Mew, Maddie gains a new speech quirk. She sometimes ends the sentence with Mew or Mew tilde. The fight, being Switch exclusive, utilizes both Joy-Cons and a split soul mechanic, colored to represent the Nintendo Switch colors. The fight also features the first example of her being referred to with she/her pronouns. This is explicitly a representation of being transgender, much like how Mettaton is, as the ghosts all seem to be naturally gender neutral. The Undertale wiki provides plenty of citations for Maddie and Mettaton's pronouns in both Undertale and Deltarune, and I recommend you check it out yourself. If you choose to spare her, you later find her in front of Undyne's house, having decided to be a training dummy again, just as the Mew Mew doll this time. She vows to become a TV star to rival Mettaton. In the Xbox port of Undertale, the dog shrine is bulldozed by the annoying dog and replaced with the dog casino. Inside the casino is a slot machine you can buy coins to spend money on, and a casino table that features Sans pre-Mettaton EX fight and Mad Mew Mew post-Mettaton EX fight. You can win a lot of things within the dog casino, and both Sans and Mad Mew Mew have separate dialogue responses for the various things you can win. Sans spews a lot of miscellaneous crap about the holiday siblings living in Snowdin, so if you have any interest in that, I would go check it out. Mad Mew Mew has a lot to say about Mettaton, establishing a very solid dislike for him and rivalry between the two of them. She seems to hold a much softer spot for Napstablook, referring to them as Blookie the same way Mettaton does. Her dialogue also establishes that she has a somewhat antagonistic relationship with Burger Pants. On September 15th, 2020, Toby Fox released some dialogue from the cancelled Alarm Clock app that Undertale was meant to receive. This is some of the best Undertale content that Toby Fox has ever released, and I implore you read it yourself before I explain anything from it, because it really is that good. The story takes place during a winter party that the main cast of characters hold sometime after the True Pacifist ending on the surface, although notably not featuring Frisk. In Mettaton's dialogue section, he tells the story of Maddie, as Mad Mew Mew, inviting herself to this winter party and hanging out with Napstablook, making him jealous. The two get into a physical altercation until they tire themselves out, and then call a truce when learning that their fighting upset Napstablook. At the end of Mettaton's dialogue, he mentions that they are drinking ghost juice that neither of them could taste. It's not entirely clear whether fused ghosts can taste ghost juice and Mettaton is just lying to save face, or if this is confirmation that they cannot taste ghost juice and Maddie has officially fused to her body. When you interact with the Blook House, reminiscent of Napstablook's house in Undertale, in Deltarune Chapter 1, you can only speak to a ghost that has the speech patterns of Mettaton. In Chapter 2, however, the first ghost you speak to has Maddie's original speech quirk of repeating words in threes, and you have the option to speak to either her or Mettaton. While talking to her, she lets slip that she's doing something in Asgore's house, and that Chris should say hi to him for her. Maddie, in her Undertale form, appears in a significant amount of merchandise in several of the newsletters. She appears briefly in one of the Papyrus Q&As, establishing a dynamic between her and Papyrus that you could probably presume already existed because she, lived in his house. This is the first example of her having a dialogue portrait. Some of her newsletter appearances seem to be hinting towards her appearance in Deltarune Chapter 5. When you approach the Blook House in Chapter 5, you have the option to listen to either Mettaton or Maddie mutter to themselves. You can only half overhear Maddie talking about Asgore showing something off to everyone else that belongs to her, and that she has half a mind to go outside, but trails off before she explains why she would do that. In Asgore's truck bed, you can see a Mew Mew doll. After you've completed the lake scene, the Mew Mew doll will have disappeared. In the Cliffs area of the Dark World, there is a shop where you can buy a mystery key, which is a reference to the mystery key you can buy in Undertale to unlock Mettaton's house. The shopkeeper, although much more serene than we historically have seen Maddie, speaks with her tripling words quirk, and is implied to be her. She talks about how she's never seen life like this before, and the whole world is more beautiful than she could have imagined. She also mentions how names don't matter, and it's your body that counts, isn't it? She also insists she's one of Asgore's flowers, which at this point in the chapter is pretty believable. Her silhouette does not reflect any appearance of Maddie that has been shown thus far or throughout the course of the chapter, seemingly only having one ponytail and a different top. She does have visible cat ears, however, which you can question her about. My personal theory is that this is just her shopkeeper uniform, but I don't think Toby will ever show this outfit to us because he hates me. If you collect the pink coins in the platforming and puzzle sections required to buy the mystery key, there's a section you can access from within the castle that leads you to a pink door. Once entering the pink door, you encounter Orange, who calls on her, quote, big sis to help her as the fun gang, or really just Ralsei, I guess, is bullying her. Maddie introduces herself as the strongest of Asgore's flowers, Pink. She has the Fun Gang apologize to Orange and Orange apologize to the Fun Game, and almost moves on her own, before being questioned whether or not she is truly one of Asgore's flowers. At this, she attacks. During the battle, Maddie the Ghost is separated from the body she is inhabiting. Notably, this is the first time we have ever seen any of the other ghosts as a ghost, despite this just being her Dark World appearance in which she reflects a grayed out version of the Mew Mew body itself. After the fight, it's revealed that she often sat inside the Mew Mew doll, but was never able to move or articulate the body until entering the Dark World, where she could possess it in a similar fashion to how ghostly possession worked in Undertale. Unfortunately, the doll's body has also become a Darkner in this world, who has its own wants and needs, particularly to date the Fun Gang, as the only available act is flirting. The fight is resolved by both the Darkner body and Maddie's ghost reconciling and deciding they want to be one person together. Afterwards, Maddie isn't interested in the Dark Fountain being closed until Susie suggests she just goes to Castletown, to which she agrees, deciding to spend the rest of the time before the fountain closes with Orange, and promising Orange that she will make sure Asgore takes care of the flowers. Before she leaves, she tells Chris that her body has the Shadow Crystal, and although she doesn't know what it is, her body wants to give it to them. The fight features a plethora of references to her prior appearances. The UI is covered in dummies from her original Undertale attacks holding light sticks, and several of her attacks utilize a very similar mechanic to that in Undertale where dummies launch things at the soul. One of her other attacks also involves moving along a small grid dodging bullets akin to the bullets used to represent Joy-Cons in the Nintendo Switch fight. The soul mode she uses is purple, and she makes a reference to Muffet in the beginning of the battle. Her battle theme contains references to Spooktune and the Freedom motif, and has vocals provided by the Vocaloid Hatsune Miku, which is a first for Deltarune and one of the very, very few voiced songs in the game. After her battle, you can return to her shop in the cliffs, where Orange has now joined her. She says that she will need some time to think after you close the fountain, but you will be seeing her again. Hi, I'm recording this on my phone because Toby Fox just patched in more shop dialogue for after her battle that was obviously not in my script, and I'm not going to set up my mic again, so mind the quality. If you have both the chapter's egg and have triggered the friend encounter, which is an earlier platforming section where you can use a platforming action on an empty space and cause a friend face to appear and damage you, and then talk to Maddie in the shop, the screen will go dark except for her outline, and Pink's Darkner will take over the conversation and tell you that she's noticed you've been bit by a cat, and that once she met someone who liked cats enough to have a whole hunting pack of them. She then goes on to warn you that cats are very good at finding protein, and if you have any protein on you, you should be sure to hide it, as once a cat knows you have it, they won't stop chasing you until they get bored. She says that some people would change their appearance or go into hiding to get away from them. At the end of this conversation, Maddie comes back, seemingly unaware of anything that was just said, and asks not to be left out of conversations like that. In the Take a Break segments you can activate in the castle, there are two choices for taking a break with Pink. One of them is Pink and Orange, in which Orange introduces Maddie to the rest of the flowers, minus Flowery, who all find things they like about her and welcome her with open arms. The other one is with Pink and Chris, where Maddie says that her body still wants to date Chris, and then learns that Chris actually just flirts with everybody, to which the body malfunctions and explodes. Depending on your next choices, you either get Maddie tossing a bomb or a really weird ending in which the screen just says reset and, sound mic reset plays, which you can look up yourself, but it sounds like Metal Crusher, I guess. You've made it this far. Whether or not you already knew this stuff, you might still have some questions. The ones I've been seeing the most are, what does this have to do with being a secret boss? What does this do for the characters? Where was the build-up? I've seen a lot of people comparing her to the other secret bosses, citing her appearances more random than them, who all seem to be built up throughout the chapter. The build-up comes from her appearance in Chapter 2, as well as her being a very prominent character throughout the Dark World. You're aware of the mystery key the entire time, and the pink coins are your reward for challenging yourself and going beyond the set path in the platforming sections. As for how it reflects the characters, it's not much of a stretch to say that this is a reflection of Chris, much like Spamton Neo was. More specifically, Chris's relationship with the player and with being a vessel. Much like how Maddie and Pink's Darkner are two different people, you and Chris are two different people who do not always agree on things and often have different goals. You could interpret it as a hint towards the necessity of Chris needing to work with the player to get to the end, despite seemingly having different goals in the moment. Contrarily, you could also interpret it as proof that you will never be directly compatible with Chris, as the Darkner Maddie inhabits accepts her because being a vessel was technically already her purpose in the light world, whereas Chris shouldn't be a vessel at all. Probably. Ralsei also has some important development in the fight. By telling Maddie that Pink is her own person and deserves a say in what they do, he's putting a Darkner on the same pedestal as a Lightner instead of suggesting that they directly defer to the Lightner in her wishes. He directly quotes something he said while feeling guilty about having his own likes and dislikes, showing his development. Again, this is up to you. If you don't necessarily like this reading of the fight, that's okay, but not everything has to be explicitly textual for it to be relevant to the larger story at hand. Don't be so quick to shoot something down just because it doesn't look like it fits. I don't know why she had the shadow crystal, but there's a story to be told about it. I encourage you to use the context you got from this video to come to your own conclusions about what Maddie as the secret boss might add to Deltarune. I'm not a theorist by any means, I just like the details.
Also, on her having the shadow crystal, I do not know who the Darkner was talking about in her shopkeep section, but if it wasn't someone in the light world, it could have been whoever gave her the shadow crystal had that hunting pack of cats, so I would keep that in mind.
I have a lot more thoughts on the ghosts, the mechanics of ghost magic in both Undertale and Deltarune and Maddie's story. If you're interested, you can contact me here. If I missed anything or got anything wrong anywhere in this video, feel free to leave a comment and correct me. I probably won't ever do or make anything like this again, but even one watch means quite a bit to me, so if you've made it this far, thank you for paying attention. I hope you can learn to love Maddie as much as me and Toby himself do. I don't actually know how to end this. Stay kawaii, dummy bots.